Hi friends, in this presentation we will look into the differences between the microprocessors and microcontrollers. Firstly, we'll see the components of the microprocessor and the microcontroller. Both of the microprocessor and the microcontroller have the following components. That is a CPU, a central processing unit, input and output, bus, the address bus and the data bus, the memory devices like RAM and ROM, random access memory and the read-only memory, timer, interrupt, serial port and parallel port. So both of the microprocessor and the microcontroller have all these units in a microprocessor, which are being used for CPUs of the computer. Generally, there is no RAM-ROM input-output on the CPU chip itself. It means that the CPU is a separate entity and the RAM, ROM, I/O ports, timer and serial communication ports are connected externally to the CPU. But in the case of microcontroller, it is a single chip computer on which the RAM, ROM and I/O ports are inbuilt. For example, Motorola 6811, Intel's 8051, Zilog Z8, PIC microcontrollers are few examples of microcontrollers. So in the diagram you can see that the CPU, RAM, ROM, I/O port, timer, serial communication port, everything is on a single chip. Now we'll move into the differences between microprocessor and microcontroller. Microprocessor CPU is standalone, RAM, ROM, input-output, timers are separate. But in the case of microcontroller, the CPU, RAM, ROM, input-output and timer are all in the same chip. Next, the designer can decide on the amount of ROM, RAM and I/O ports. But in microcontroller, there is a fixed amount of on-chip ROM, RAM and I/O ports. So microprocessors are generally expensive, but in case of microcontroller, it is less expensive than the microprocessors because it is put for specific applications. Next, the microprocessors are versatile in nature. It can be put into use for many applications, but in the case of microcontroller, it is used for a single purpose only, mainly control oriented. Next, about the power. It has a high processing power and the microcontroller has a low processing power. Similarly, the microprocessor has a high power consumption while the microcontroller has a lower power consumption compared to the microprocessor. Next, the instruction set focuses on the processing, that is, it focuses only on the intensive operations. Next, the instruction sets focuses on control and bit level operations in the case of a microcontroller. Microprocessors are usually 32 to 64 bit, while the microcontrollers are usually 8 to 16 bit. The microprocessor focuses on deep pipelining. It allows up to 5 to 20 stages of pipelining, but the microcontrollers allows a single cycle or two-stage pipelining. Here are the few examples of microcontrollers. The 8051 is a very oldest microcontroller. Microchip Technologies PIC, Atmel AVR, Texas Instruments MSP 430, which is a 16-bit microcontroller, or few examples of microcontrollers. Thank you.